Hello and welcome back to Never Enough Holidays. In this video I thought I'd share with you some places that we've taken our twin axle caravan to in France, which hopefully may give you some inspiration for where you might choose to take your holidays this coming year or in the future. Our third ever time in the caravan, we took it to France, and it was in August, well July, August 2020, right in the COVID times. And we travelled about 3 hours from Calais to the Normandy region, and we stayed at a site called La Forêt, which is in a small little town called Jumoget. And in the town of Jumoget is known as the most beautiful ruin in France, and it really is a beautiful ruin to wander around. It's an old abbey, and there's lots of restaurants and bars in there, and the town was really ideally located not far from the motorway and just north of Rouen. And we had a lovely 2-week holiday there. It was a lot more quieter than usual because it was in the thick of COVID times, and we did have to quarantine when we returned to the UK, but we did have a lovely stay. There's lots of things to visit in the area. We visited many of the beaches from the war, and we did the museum in Caen, and we also visited the Claude Monet gardens, which were absolutely wonderful to wander around, and I definitely recommend it. It was like stepping into an oil painting. We had a lovely stay there. It's a basic campsite. It's classed as 4-star. It had a pool that was undercover, and then a small little children's outdoor pool with a little slide. All the pitches had hedges around it as well, and we had what they would call a fully serviced pitch, as it had its own tap on the pitch as well, which other people would use as well, but it meant that you didn't have to go so far to walk to the next tap. And we really enjoyed it, and we booked that through the Caravan and Motorhome Club at the same time as booking our ferry, because at the time, and I don't know whether it's still the case now, if you book your ferry or tunnel at the same time as your campsite when you travel abroad through the Caravan and Motorhome Club, it did mean that it was ABTA protected. So something to bear in mind, and just check if that's still the case now, as I'm not too sure. And we had a lovely 2-week stay at the site. Typically French. You can order your baguette and croissants the day before, and in the morning you can go and collect it. And in fact, sometimes they would even deliver them to your pitch as well if you asked. And it was a really nice site. Lots of things to do in the local area. We also had a day trip to Deauville, which is a very luxurious and glamorous seaside town where there's an American film festival held there. That was really nice. And yeah, so if you want to just dip your toe into a holiday in France, then I definitely recommend Normandy. We were lucky with the weather, as I know it is a bit like the UK because you are so north. It can be hit and miss, but we were very lucky with the weather, and we thoroughly enjoyed it, and would return to Normandy again for another holiday, as there is so much to do in the area. Also, just down the road from the campsite was this lovely lake which you could take your kayak on and enjoy, and it was free parking as well. The next region of France which I would recommend is the Loire Valley, which is known for its absolutely spectacular chateaux. And we've stayed in 2 sites in the Loire Valley, and both of them are part of the Le Castells group. I really like the Le Castells group. They have a really nice, chilled, relaxed vibe, and their campsites are always set in the grounds of the most beautiful chateaux. So yes, I definitely recommend checking out some of their sites. The first site in the Le Castells group that we stayed at, and we stayed at here twice, is called L'Orangerie de Beauregard, and it's just north of Tours, so it's ideally located if you wanted to twin it with going further south, which we did when we stopped there the first time. It has the most beautiful pool, and at the end of the pool is a bar area which looks very similar to an Airstream Caravan, I think. It was actually heated, the pool, although it really didn't need to be, as it was very warm. They had a little cafe where you could get takeaway coffees from and order your pastries for in the morning and baguettes. It also has an on-site restaurant which was very popular and you did have to book in advance of. It offered also a children's club which was free, and at the time that we stayed there it even included animal encounter experience and going horse riding. And not only did they cater for children but also for adults, and they had wine tasting for adults as well to enjoy. And one of the evenings that we were there, there was also an evening market where local traders would come and sell their wares and have different food stands, and that was really enjoyable when we stayed there. So yes, I definitely recommend L'Orangerie de Beauregard. And while we were there, we did have a trip to the royal town of Amboise. In the town of Amboise is the royal chateau where Francois I was, and not only in the town is there that chateau, the royal chateau, there is also the chateau which is the last resting place of Leonardo da Vinci, which we did have a visit to, and it was really a wonderful day out. And in the gardens they have lots of exhibitions of all his inventions as well. So yes, I definitely recommend that. There is lots to do in the area. And the second site which I would recommend in the Loire Valley is another Le Castells group campsite, and that is Chateau de Chanteloup, and you can check out my video from our stay there last year in my videos. In the area again there are lots of chateaux that you can visit there. 30 minutes from the site is what's known as the Venice of the West in France, and it's a commune of La Ferté-Bernard. And there you can take an electric boat tours on the canals or visit the Chateau de Montmiral with its impressive fortress walls. When we stayed at Chateau de Chanteloup, we again really enjoyed the relaxed vibes. We had our pitch in the forest, but our friends had a wonderful pitch in a lovely walled gardens. And again, the campsite is set in the grounds of a chateau. So if you really want to soak up the French history of a chateau, then I definitely recommend checking out the Le Castells campsites, as they are really nice. A very chilled vibe. They have a lovely bar, restaurant as well that you could eat in, play balls in the evening, and just chill and relax with friends. Another area of France which you may wish to consider for your travels is the island of Ile de Ré, which is just off the west coast of France near La Rochelle. You get a bridge over to the island, and it's around for a car and caravan just under €34 one way, and then obviously you have to pay again to cross the bridge, which is quite steep, but it is like an engineering masterpiece, that bridge, and it is wonderful when you cross over and you are escaping to the beautiful island of Ile de Ré. And when you are on the island, and we had a lovely week there, we did not use our car once because the island is famous for its cycle paths. Really safe cycling everywhere, and it was just really nice. We could cycle to the town, Le Flotte, because we stayed at Camping Bel Air, and we actually had a poolside pitch. Pitch was right at the end of the pool where our caravan and car were, and it was a really nice chilled vibe for a campsite there. Just outside the town of Le Flotte, but also within easy cycling distance to the main town, well, one of the main towns in the island, Saint-Martin, which was a lovely seaside town. And we also could cycle very easily to the other side of the island, to the beach there, La Boise Plage, which was really nice for doing some bodyboarding there. And the island is famous for its salt marshes. And as you go cycling on the island, you can see lots of the salt marshes and also oyster beds there. And lots of the restaurants on Ile de Ré, their menu of the day always offer oysters, even on the children's menu. And our daughter loved trying oysters for the first time on Ile de Ré. And on the cycle paths, not only are there oyster bars and restaurants, but there's also little huts where you can purchase your own Ile de Ré salt, just with little honesty boxes as well there. So yeah, I really recommend Ile de Ré, and I can't wait to return again. It is very picturesque, lots of very pretty villages, and they're all painted in the window frames in these beautiful muted greens and blues, as it is a rule on the island that they're only allowed to use a selected colour palette anyway for painting them, and it does create a really picturesque and very pretty island to visit. When we went to Ile de Ré, we did stay at Camping La Bel Air, which is part of the flower camp sites, and again it had a kids club. It also had a couple of bouncy castles as well, which were free for the children to use. You could hire bikes there, and you could also hire bikes in the town of Le Flotte if you didn't bring your own with you, and they were very reasonably priced. Again, you could order your pastries for the next morning there, and there was an on-site bar and restaurant. It did also have some ensuite pitches which were quite rustic, but very nice and lots of shade. And if you cut through the back of the campsite, you come out straight by the main supermarket, which was really handy. Unfortunately for us though, we only realised about that cut through towards the end of our stay, which is typical, so we were cycling the long way round on the road. But just a little tip, if you do stay there, just head towards the back of the campsite, and there's a little cut through then to the supermarket, which saves you carrying all your bags or having bags on your back on the bike. But Ile de Ré I would definitely recommend. There is another island just underneath Ile de Ré called Ile de l'Orient. If you stop there, then please do let me know in the comments. I've heard lots of people say that that it's just as nice as Ile de Ré. Some people prefer it, some people say it's not as touristy as Ile de Ré. So do let me know if you have stayed at that island and any recommendations you may have for sites there. Ile de Ré is very popular. Lots of the French, particularly those that live in Paris, tend to escape to Ile de Ré in the summer months as well, and accommodation does get very booked up very quickly. Not only campsites but also Airbnbs. My friend tends to go there every year, and just for 5 nights she pays around about £1,000, and that's very basic, no swimming pool, nothing else, and it's just literally a 1-bed little apartment in a town. But once you visit Ile de Ré, you can see why it's so popular. Another area which you might like to consider for your travels is the Dordogne. We had a wonderful week in the Dordogne, staying at Camping La Rivière, which was just by the Dordogne River. And you can go kayaking there or on your paddleboard, and it was a really pretty campsite. It was, again, had lots of rustic charm to it, but a lovely swimming pool, very reasonably priced restaurant and bar as well on site, and it did have some entertainment as well in the evenings. The region is famous for its foie gras, which I know is quite controversial, so they would have food trucks come selling their wares, and one of them would be foie gras, if you wanted to try it. There was just a short walk just across the river Dordogne, then into the town, which again was lovely. And you can see lots of the buildings were shaped into the rock faces in the area, which is very traditional. And whilst we were there, we went zip lining and high ropes in the grounds of a chateau, which was a wonderful experience. And we also visited the medieval town of Sarlat, which is really nice, and I would definitely recommend having a wander and a meal there. Again, just looking at the architecture there, and it was a really nice place to visit, and I definitely recommend it. We only really dipped our toe into the Dordogne region, and it's a region that we would definitely look to return to again, as it was so nice and we did enjoy it. I hope you found this video useful, and it's giving you some inspiration of some areas that you might consider visiting with your caravan or motorhome in France. Please drop in the comments below any other areas that you would recommend, or any places you visited which would be perfect for a car, caravan or motorhome. I can't wait to hear them. Thank you so much to all those people who have liked, commented and subscribed to the channel. It really is very much appreciated. My little channel is growing slowly, and your support is very much appreciated, so thank you. If you have enjoyed this video and you do find it useful, please do give it a thumbs up, a like, and please consider subscribing to the channel. It would be very much appreciated. Many thanks for watching, and take care.